You're listening to DUSARadio's online election coverage at DUSAmedia.com. Hello, you're listening to DUSARadio's online election coverage interview podcast. Today I'm interviewing the candidate for Deputy President of the Union, Jade Rea. But before we begin with some interview questions, Jade, I'm just going to take this opportunity to define the role that you are running for as set out in DUSA's bylaws. So the Deputy President is a sabbatical position. As well as deputising for the President when required, this post holder works within Dundee University to promote, support and aid development of representation, quality, assurance in education, equal opportunities, employability skills, international students, student minorities and extracurricular activities out with societies and sports clubs. The Deputy President has responsibility for deputising for the President when he or she is unavailable, assisting students that are in dispute or undertake academic appeals to the University, promoting and maintaining student representation in all levels of the university, such as providing training for student representatives, promoting student participation in extracurricular and voluntary activities out with societies and sports clubs, developing an annual strategy to ensure cultural and social integration in the student community, providing student feedback into the university's quality assurances processes and representational system, liaising with the university in all matters relating to the development and improvement of Dundee University's student experience and equal opportunities policies, advocating the interests of all students, in particular disabled, international and postgraduate students, in conjunction with the Vice President of Engagement, coordinating Dundee University Students' Association's pastoral campaigns, acting as the designated sabbatical liaison with the Student Services and the Citizens Advice Bureau, and supporting and advising the Chair of the Student Representative Council. Quite a job title, Jade. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your policies and why people should vote for you.
Okay, thanks Craig. Hi everyone, my name is Jade. I am a final year law student from Belfast. Currently I am a fourth year representative for the Law Society. I also sit on the Student Representative Council, and for the past 2 years I've worked for DUSA, more specifically Premier. So the main reason why I want to be elected your new Deputy President is to ensure that all students have the same level of enjoyment that I have had during my 4 years here. I never thought when I started uni that this was going to be the place I ended up. I didn't realise I would want to be so proactive and involved within the Students' Union, and this is a thought that has both equally excited and daunted me. I have 3 main policies to bring to the table if elected your Deputy President. The first being to place a level of responsibility on class representatives, ensuring that in-house training that is available is enforced. My second policy is to further integration between all students and emphasising all the student services we have available. In doing this, I hope to make all new students, especially international students, as comfortable in their new surroundings as possible. And my final policy is to increase student engagement. The infrastructure that we currently have, I believe, is brilliant if it was to be utilised. However, I don't believe that it is, which is why, alongside my first policy, I plan to ensure that the current ideas to bring SRC to the forefront of people's minds is not something which is forgotten about. I don't want it to be a one-off campaign. I want it to be something that is continued. Students need to be aware of what they have, and who essentially is representing them, so the people doing so can be held accountable. Finally, I would just like to thank those who have continually given me support due to the faith they have in me to take on this role and to do it well. I'm a passionate, hard-working woman, and I hope that I will be given the opportunity to prove that to all the students. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm joined today by DUSARadio Deputy Manager Laura Gorman, who's joining me at the interviewing. Hello.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm okay.
Good. Right, we will start. My first question for you, Jade, is something that actually isn't related to your policies, but it is something that I think concerns all exec members, current, future, and that is the fact that your position, and indeed 3 other positions, is uncontested this year. What would you be looking to do this time next year when nominations are open to encourage more students to get involved actively with the running of the union and putting themselves forward for election?
I think it's a good question because it was brought to SRC's attention that a lot of students, well, I don't know a lot, but some students definitely said they weren't even aware the elections were being held. And it was something that, you know, it did make a lot of people question because it was heavily publicised. You know, it was even on My Dundee. I mean, it was there, it was on billboards, it was, you know, it's been there for a long time. But essentially, if people don't know about it, they don't know what they're looking for, they don't know where to look, I suppose, you know. So you can become blind, especially, you know, billboards are all over campus, I suppose. Sometimes you just become immune to them. therefore, I believe that it does link to my policies in the sense that if there is an increase in student engagement, then people will get to know, because they'll be able to question, okay, well, you're representing me, what are you doing for me? And hopefully with an increase in student engagement, then we will see an increase in people who want to get actively involved.
Okay, you're talking about this increase in student engagement. It is your third outlined policy in your candidate statement. This has been said many times every year by every exec candidate, every SRC candidate in the SRC elections. Clearly it's still an issue, despite the fact so many people have made it a policy, one of their main policies. What would you be looking to do differently to try and engage students actively?
Well, as much as obviously previous exec members have maybe said that this is something that they want to do, obviously our policies aren't the only, it's not the only thing that we'll be doing once we take up office. However, I do think that I am a very proactive person. I know certainly with my position on the Law Society, we have seen an increase in nominations for the next year's society. A lot of people that I know who previously said they had no interest in getting involved have now put themselves forward for positions. So obviously I'm not taking credit for that, but I like to think that the attitude that I have has then rubbed off and affected other people, and I know that's how I've become involved, because other people have came to me and said, this is what we do, we think you'd be good, we think you'd like to get you involved. So whilst I can't give you a specific answer of, yes, this is exactly what I'm going to do, it's not something that's going to be forgotten about as soon, if I am elected, it's not something that I'm just going to forget about. It's something that's going to be at the forefront of my mind to bring to the forefront of others.
Okay. Your first policy is communication within schools with more responsibility on class reps. Now, class reps is a position that exists in every school, but you highlight the fact that some of them are more. Some schools have better systems in place than others. So what would you be looking for class reps to do that they don't already do? What responsibilities would you be adding to their remit?
Okay, well, I can't obviously speak for all class reps in all schools, so I'm basically drawing from my own past experience in my school. And in my year, and I do think subsequent years in the School of Law, people don't actually even know who their class representatives are. And if you don't know who your class rep is, then how can you go to your class rep? And if you have a problem or an issue, it can't be addressed. So what I would like to do is, there is, I believe, in-house training available for Dundee students. I don't think that's something which is used across the board. So, and it's not a negative way to class reps. What I want is for it to be seen as a positive thing, to give them a level of responsibility and accountability, and more than that. So whenever they actually want to put this down in their CV, rather than, because employers will ask, oh, you were a class representative, what does that entail? Rather than, people sitting there twiddling their thumbs, they can say, well, actually, I liaise with the school president, I held meetings with class reps, we had focus groups whereby you're getting random people from random years giving their input. I think it's important especially to work with the school president, because again, the school president sits on the Student Representative Council. So therefore, again, highlighting the structure that we have and hopefully improving on that.
Like you, I can't speak for all schools, but I know within my school there's actually quite a struggle to get people to nominate themselves just for class rep. So this is quite a low role, really. But there is still a struggle to get people to nominate themselves for that. Is there anything you would be looking, any more kind of rewards you would be looking to give class reps, something that goes on their transcript, the university transcript, or something like that, to try and get more people seeing the benefits of being a class rep?
Okay, so I can't say for definite, but I'm pretty sure that I was looking obviously at other universities and what they have in place, but I'm fairly sure that in Glasgow University, once your in-house training is completed, you are given a certificate sort of to say that you have actually had to go through these certain roles, and they have different objectives that they need you to complete, and when you do, obviously that I think will show employers that, okay, well, not only have you just went to university, you have taken on a level of responsibility, and you haven't just done that, but you've had to complete different objectives, and that shows, I think, that you have the ability to just do more than the bare minimum, I suppose.
So obviously in your statement you say that you're being a fourth year law representative on the Law Society and then also on the SRC. How do you think you've sort of performed in your roles? What have you achieved in your previous positions over the last year?
Definitely the fourth year representative role was a lot more demanding and time consuming than I originally thought it would be. I think that is because in my own nature, working with other people on the Law Society, we have had a number of events that we've had to... We did have a controversial evening, CEOs and corporate hoes. In a sense, I'm not glad that we put it on in any sense to offend anyone, but it is actually giving me a bit better insight into the other different, types of people within university, as opposed to myself, who doesn't find something like that offensive. That doesn't mean that my opinion is right, and I think that I'm glad that it was able to be brought to my attention. Within the Student Representative Council, I'm not going to say that I came up with some brand new sort of scheme. I mean, Stefan, he is, like, I would say probably solely responsible for his bringing the exam timetable forward. So I can't say that I have had a massive involvement within the Student Representative Council. I have spoken with one of your other candidates, VPE Keely Watson, because she wants to do a lot with the Student Representative Council until we're finished, until we run out of term. And I've said that I'd be more than happy to be actively involved with her in trying to improve awareness of Student Representative Council.
Okay. When DUSARadio interviewed the current exec, both during last year's election campaigns and at the end of last summer when they were taking over, all of them, they're full of intentions and they have these huge scope of ideas that they want to implement, but it's a fact of the role that you run out of time. Mm-hmm. Everybody does. They did. You will as well. What is the one priority, if you had to pick one, what is the one priority that you hold that you will look to achieve if you're elected in these elections?
Well, I'm probably not going to give you the answer that you want. I think the policies that I have given, they're not brand new, massive policies. I've seen what we have available, and what I want to do is improve on that and build on that. And therefore, I don't think that it's unfeasible for me to say that these three policies can't be implemented. My second policy, which relates to international students, only was it last night we had the big international lantern. You've seen the photos on Facebook. There were so many people that turned out to that, and there was a great integration with that. So therefore, I do feel like I haven't chosen policies which I feel are so far out of my reach that I won't be able to attain them. So therefore, I'd like to hope that I'll be able to build in all three of these areas that I've focused on.
You've mentioned your second policy, bringing the world to Dundee. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of involvement with the International Society with this. The International Society is one of the biggest societies on campus. Their Facebook page has over 2,000 members. Is there anything specific that you would be looking to work directly with the International Society, an event or something that you'd be looking to do with the International Society specifically?
Well, I definitely want to have an increase of events, but it's not solely, I don't want people to think I'm solely looking at international students. It's the idea of wanting to bridge the gap between people from different cultures and different parts of the world. I have spoken with the International Advice Service. I'm aware that there is a lot that is put on and international students are made available to, but it is wanting to sort of bridge the gap that I feel I have seen, especially working in Premier for the last 2 years, in amongst students. That's kind of what my main aim is.
Is there anything specifically from your predecessors, successes, failures in this last year, Rachel, is there anything there you'd be looking to continue or build on or evolve specifically?
I would definitely like to talk about the appeal system that we have. I think Rachel did a fantastic job this year. We had more appeals this year, I think, than last year, and I would just like to be able to live up to this, because I seen the level of commitment, the amount of hours that were spent within her office working, and I would just like to be able to fulfill the same level of commitment that she had, and to ensure that as many students as possible were getting back into university that do have to follow the appeal system.
Okay, we've been sent in a question through the Facebook page by Peter Fullylove. Thank you very much for that question. This question pertains to university cuts. I'm just going to read it out exactly as he's put it. One fact I find quite worrying is that uni cuts are conspicuous only by their absence from any of the candidates' manifestos. Can the candidates assure us that university cuts will be fought if they are elected, particularly with the rise of tuition fees for students from other parts of the UK? To pay more for poorer quality is deeply troubling. What would you have to say in response to Peter?
Absolutely. I can categorically say I'm a very passionate person. I am very fortunate in the sense that I was able to come to uni before the tuition fees went up, and can tell you now that if we are to suffer more cuts, it will not be something that is just allowed to go through without some sort of fight being put up from myself, and I'm sure many of the other candidates as well. So thank you very much for the question.
Okay, that's all I've got to ask at the moment. Laura, do you have any final questions for Jade?
No, I think everything's been answered pretty perfectly.
Would you like to give a final closing statement?
Yeah, I'm sure that some people are probably sick to the death of seeing me now working in Premier, being in the union, having my posters up everywhere, but it is because I really do care about this place and about you guys, and ultimately there's no point in I may be running unopposed, but I still want you to vote for me because you have faith in me and my ability to do this job. So please get out next Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, because it's important for not just myself but for all the other candidates running. Thank you.
Thank you, Jade. Just a reminder, voting opens on Wednesday the 6th of March and closes on Friday the 8th, and you vote via My Dundee. Please check back the DUSA Media website for the latest interviews with all the candidates up until then. Thank you for listening.